Okay, so now at this point in the story, I'm in college, and as I said, I went through so much trauma, and the stuff was so traumatic in high school. And I know it's because of the shooter machine. If it wasn't for the shooter machine, none of that would have happened. I know for a fact. But in my mom's and my dad's viewpoint, they don't know anything about that at that point. So they're thinking to themselves that I just have something wrong with me, that I have some sort of obsessive compulsive disorder. In my mom's view, like I said, my mom told me it wasn't a shooter machine. That when I told her in 20, I told her after college, because I never told her before that, because my mom said I wasn't allowed. My grandpa made up a rule, I'm not allowed to talk about the past. But when I told her later, my mom told me it wasn't a shooting machine. You just fell apart because you were under too much pressure and you became mentally ill. So I'm going to get to this part. So, but as I said too, at this point, I wasn't allowed to talk about the past because it was so bad what happened. And my grandpa had come up with this rule. He was like, okay, yeah, Ryan, never talk about the past because, you know, he said because Jesus, when he was in the Bible, in the Gospels, my grandpa's a metapsychiatrist, and metapsychiatry incorporates the teachings of Jesus. He says, when in the Gospels, he in one of the stories, he puts his plow. He says, "Put your plow down and don't look back." And my grandpa's like, and that's a metaphor for don't talk about the past. So never bring up anything about that happened about the past. So, I'm like, okay. So at this point, things are going a little bit better. I'd quit basketball, and I'd stop asking my dad for help. And I'm just like, okay, now I'm just going to focus on, at that point, I was just going to focus on rap music. So when I was in college, I started writing rap music. And I'm not going to get into too much details on that. But basically, what happened was, like, at the beginning of my freshman year, I started developing a freestyle writing style where I would just, like, free write. And it's almost like I didn't know what I was writing, but I would just let, like, my intuition or, like, just, like, carry me. And, just it's not conscious writing, it's called free writing, and people think that it's a kind of like it's almost like a spiritual type of thing where you're not really conscious about what you're writing. You're trying to get into a state like a meditative or like a trance state, and then you write. So I started doing that, and I made a lot of really good raps. But then after I quit basketball, I noticed that I wasn't able to do that anymore, and I didn't know why. But then I would notice, like, right before a math test, I'd be able to do it again. And that's when I started to realize, wait, I can only do it when I'm nervous. And I realized, basketball is what always got me really nervous. So I was able to do my free writing, but I wasn't able to do it anymore. So now I wanted to get back into basketball. But that's another part of the story. But so that happened. But things are going better with my parents. So I'm not asking my dad for help anymore. So my parents are, they do come for Thanksgiving. But again, things are not completely good. So at one point, I go visit them in Los Angeles, and my dad tells me, I'm in the house, and my dad tells me, if you bring up anything about the past, he had a Rottweiler now. He just got a Rottweiler. He said, I'm not going to kick your ass. I'm going to have my Rottweiler kill you. He said, so do not bring anything about the past, or I'm going to have my dog just kill you. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to bring up anything about the past. And I remember when he said that, like, I had my adrenaline rushing and stuff, and it was like, but basically my point though is, even though things are going a little bit better, they still have contempt for me, and they still don't understand what happened in the past. They didn't know about the shooting machine. At that point, I didn't know about the shooting machine. Then I started studying videos. I had asked my mom and dad for videos of when I was younger, when I played basketball, because I wanted to study. I was thinking I'll study the way that I shot, because I wanted to figure out how I shot, because at that point I wanted to get back into basketball, because I wanted to be able to get back into rap music, because I figured out, wait, I can only free write when I'm playing basketball, when I'm nervous, and only playing serious basketball gets me nervous. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, I want to start studying basketball, and I want to figure out what was wrong with my shot. So I asked my mom and dad for videos, and my mom and dad were like, no, you're going to lose them, don't do it. And maybe they were right, because I did end up losing a lot of them, and I'll get into that. But they gave me the videos, and I started studying them, and that's when I started to look, and I'm looking at a video of me shooting on the shoot-away machine, and I'm seeing how I'm moving into the shots. And I'm looking at videos of me shooting before and after the shoot-away machine, and I'm like, it's very clear after the shooting machine, I'm shooting it like I'm picking the ball off a rack, I'm hopping into it, and my dad was very mad at me because I started shooting with my left foot in front of my right, and I was like, well, that's because of how I was moving into it, and it was because of the rack, and I started seeing that stuff, and then, so that's when it became clear to me, oh, the shooting machine was what messed up my shot. So then, so I'm studying that. I'm noticing that, and I'm just. But at that time, I hadn't really fixed my shot because it took me until actually playing with Compton College when I really started studying videos in depth and trying to really duplicate what I did and really starting to figure out how good shooters shoot. But at this point, all I started to notice was, it was a shoot away machine that messed up my shot. So then I think this is my sophomore year of college. My parents come to visit me, and actually, I'm going to finish in a second.